It's been an incredibly busy transfer window so far, with well over £2 billion spent by Premier League clubs. Football finance expert and lecturer at University of Liverpool, Kieran Maguire, joins us live now. Kieran, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on. We'll start with a deal that has dominated this summer window, and that's, of course, Alexander Isak. Let's start on the Newcastle side of things then. We know that they want that British record-shattering fee of £150 million. Just how much of a boost would that be for their PSR situation?
I think Newcastle United are actually in quite a strong PSR position to begin with. The first year of ownership from PIF it's now worked its way out of the system because they're assessed over 3 years. So they do have more flexibility. And remember, they have sold players in the last couple of windows as well. Certainly, if he goes, then that would allow a lot more spending to take place. But I don't think that they're being constrained. They're not being prevented from buying anyone under the current levels as far as their finances are concerned.
Kieran, as for Liverpool, we've already seen them make a significant outlay this summer, over £320 million. Any potential Isak deal would see them approach the £500 million mark this winter in terms of money spent. Do you think this deal is feasible from their perspective?
Yes, and part of the reason for that is that when you sign a player, you spread the cost over the life of the contract. So the players coming in are normally coming in on 5-year contracts. If you take £500 million, divide that by 5, it's going to be £100 million hit in what we call amortisation as far as the accounts are concerned. But Liverpool have done really well this season as far as the summer trading is concerned on the exit door as well. So Diaz has gone, Nunez has gone, Cancer has gone. He's an academy player. That's pure profit. So Liverpool, who always operate a very, very smart system and are never in danger of PSR issues, have got a lot of capacity to spend money as far as this summer is concerned.
I mean, just as a whole, Kieran, it's been an incredible window already. We're seeing money being spent more aggressively than ever before in the Premier League. I think we're about £100 million off breaking the record for money spent in a window. What's fueling all this spending?
Well, I think if you look at the drivers, we've now got 5 clubs taking place in the Champions League instead of 4. Champions League participation is worth up to £150 million in additional revenue. So those clubs that want to get into the Champions League, they're being more aggressive in terms of their spending. We do have the challenger clubs, the aspirational clubs, the likes of Villa and Newcastle, who are trying to do as much as they can because they want one of those 5 places. In addition to that, we've had the success of the Club World Cup from Chelsea's point of view. That was worth £80 to £90 million. Even Manchester City, who were knocked out relatively early, they still made £40 to £50 million. And some of the overseas markets, such as the Saudi Pro League, have been beneficial to the Premier League when, whilst there's been relatively few deals, it certainly has brought additional money into the Premier League. And that money then starts to circulate. And if a Premier League club sells to another Premier League club, that has a ripple effect because of the way that the profits are taken immediately and the costs are spread over a period of time.
Kieran, let's talk Chelsea then. They have up to 9 players they're looking to offload as they try and balance their books this summer. I mean, rival fans are often envious of how good they are at selling. How do they do it?
Well, Chelsea have been amazing. I've got a spreadsheet in front of me which shows that they've had total sales of players of around about £1.8 billion since the Premier League started. That's twice the amount of Arsenal. That's twice the amount of Manchester United. It's £700 million, at least more than Liverpool and Manchester City and Spurs. So I think what Chelsea have been very clever at doing is utilising their academy. You look at the level of sales, Conor Gallagher, Mason Mount and many others as well. And again, that's pure profit from their point of view. So that allows them to recycle those profits back into spending. They've got academies effectively all over the country. They're a very high profile club. And that investment that they've made over the course of the last decade in particular is really working. I was talking to one academy manager and he says, we're not a development centre at the club anymore. We're now seen as a profit centre. And there's no better profit centre in the country than that of Chelsea.
Well, what about Villa then? Because they're a team that have come up against PSR trouble this window. It's been a slow one so far for them. How do you assess their outlook at the moment? And will they have any money to spend before deadline day?
I think the issue with Villa is that actually they're in a reasonably strong position from a PSR position perspective as far as the Premier League is concerned. They sold the women's team to themselves. They've had some other deals go through as well over the course of the last 12 months, and it's not just the summer window that's being taken into consideration. Villa's challenge is in relation to UEFA's rules. Villa were put up on a charge by UEFA, and they have been fined for that. But I think what's perhaps gone under the radar is that Villa also now have to adhere to a business plan where effectively, from a cash point of view, they've got to be in a sort of a zero net spend position. So whilst they can buy and sell from Premier League point of view, they don't want to breach the rules of the UEFA sanctions, because those sanctions could become more severe if Villa don't actually comply with the particular rules. So therefore, I think Villa have to use the exit door as well as signing players, and I think that's why there was such a pushback from the fans of both Villa and Newcastle when Jacob Ramsey went at the weekend, because both of those sets of fans feel that the rules discourage new challenger clubs who have got new owners who have come in, who are ambitious, who want their clubs to accelerate, who want their clubs to be challenging on a more regular basis for Champions League places, and those rules perhaps, whether they were intended or not when they were derived, certainly have a negative impact upon those types of club.
Kieran, you flowed this perfectly for me, because I was going to say the likes of Villa and Newcastle, their fans often mention the so-called Big Six. OK, we've talked Liverpool, Chelsea and Man City. Let's talk about revenue. Tottenham get thrown into this, but I remember a summer, Kieran, Spurs didn't sign anyone. And look at their stadium. They've got Beyonce about 7-8 times a year. I mean, tell us more about them.
Spurs are very, very good at monetising the stadium. That they now have a deal with the local council which allows them to have up to 30 non-footballing events where you can have crowds of up to 60 odd thousand attending. And remember, during those, they'll be selling catering products, they'll be selling merchandise products. So Spurs are very, very savvy, and they have significantly improved their position as far as being able to be financially challenging to some of the other clubs. Spurs also operate, it has to be said, a very, very tight wage model. Their percentage of wages as a proportion of revenue is often in the low 40%. UEFA say it can go as high as 70. So I think Spurs deserve a lot of credit. If they are in the Champions League this year, if they get to the further stages, I think we could be looking at matchday revenue of far more than £130 million. I think their commercial revenue since moving to the new stadium has more than trebled. When it comes to spending the money, I'm not qualified to say what a good footballer is or isn't, but I think Spurs fans would say perhaps they've been a bit hit and miss as far as the investment in the transfer market is concerned. You raised validly the point that they didn't spend money in a couple of seasons. I think that was mainly due to the transition from the old stadium to the new, where they had the costs incurred in terms of the stadium, but they didn't necessarily have the additional revenues.